We light the first candle, honoring Judaism. When God had finished showing human beings the earth, he said to them, "See how beautiful my world is. I created it for your sake. Take care of my world and do not destroy it, for if you do, there will be no one else to repair it." We light the second candle, honoring Christianity. A psalm of David. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. We light the third candle, honoring Taoism. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. We light the fourth candle, honoring Hinduism. Let there be peace in the sky and in the atmosphere. Let there be peace in that planet, world, and in the forest. Let the cosmic powers be peaceful. Let the Brahman, the true essence and source of life, be peaceful. Let there be undiluted and fulfilling peace everywhere. We light the fifth candle, honoring Buddhism. If we are going to save this planet, we need to seek a new ecological order, to look at the life we lead, and then work together for the benefit of all. Unless we work together, no solution can be found. By moving away from self-centeredness, we can help decrease much of the suffering in the world. We light the sixth candle, honoring spirituality of the Suics. The frog does not drink up the pond in which he lives. We light the final candle, honoring the religion of the Kikiyu. You must treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It is loaned to you by your children. September's theme, ensure the stewardess of our planet, healing our planet. This is by Thich Nhat Hanh. The world is not a problem to be solved. It is a living being to which we belong. The world is part of our own self, and we are part of its suffering wholeness. Until we go to the root of our image of separateness, there can be no healing. And the deepest part of our separateness from creation lies in our forgetfulness of its sacred nature, which is also our own sacred nature. So if you could just take these words with you into that inner sanctuary for a few moments of contemplation with me. And so how good it is to know that right where we are, God is. This infinite energy that moves through us, as us, and around us is deeply embedded within every cell of our being. We are being breathed by the love and the light of God that moves through us, as us, and around us right where we are, right here and right now. And I know that we've come together to celebrate this magnificent energy of God, to feel that energy with us in this community, as I know that it is in divine order and divine right action through our band, through all that is right here and right now. I know that the words that we hear today are taken within our own self, and we are utilizing all of that into our daily life, that we are uplifted, we are blessed, we are ordained in this time. And I give such thanks for this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And together we say, and so it is.
The things I find up here. Random. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so it's the second to last day of September, and the projected high today is 88. Tomorrow is the last day of September. The projected high is 93. The leaves are falling. Everything's fine, nothing to see here. So let's talk about healing the planet. I want to start with Satish Kumar. Satish Kumar, he's an Indian British activist. He was once a giant monk, or a Jain monk, depending on how you want to pronounce it. He's advocated for nuclear disarmament, at one point walking 8,000 miles to bring attention to that. And of course, he's now an ecological activist. He believes that reverence for nature should be at the heart, at the center of every political and social debate. He's been criticized for having unrealistic goals. And this is how he's answered those criticisms. He said, "Look at what realists have done for us. They have led us to war and climate change, poverty on an unimaginable scale, and wholesale ecological destruction. Half of humanity goes to bed hungry because of all the realistic leaders in the world. I tell people who call me unrealistic to show me what their realism has done. Realism is an outdated, overplayed, and wholly exaggerated concept." That's my kind of guy. I'd like to think that there is more than enough room for dreamers and unrealistic people. People that don't toe the line are the only people that have ever really brought about change. When you look around and think about who's making the noise to heal the planet, right? I mean, we're going to have to think about this differently. Let's go back to Satish Kumar for a moment. He wrote this: "As we are urged by the Gita," and the Gita that he's referring to is the Bhagavad Gita. It's one of the scriptures of the Hindu faith. He says, "As we are urged by the Gita to live in harmony with the natural world, we are also guided to live in harmony with ourselves. As we are at war with nature, we are also at war with ourselves. Making peace with ourselves is a prerequisite for making peace with the earth. And making peace with ourselves means realizing our true nature and being who we are." Making peace with ourselves, realizing our true nature, being who we are. Making peace with ourselves may be the work of our life. But I submit to you that it is the only work doing without compromise. We are free when we make peace with ourselves. We heal. Now think about it. Think about what conflict, any kind of conflict, really is. Conflict comes from fear. There isn't enough, so I have to get mine before you get it. You make me uncomfortable, and I don't know how to deal with that, so I'm going to make you act in a way that I'm comfortable with. If I cannot be at peace, then I will not allow it for you either. When we make peace with ourselves and when we realize our true nature, we are free. Conflict withers away in our presence. Now, why is that so vitally important right now? Because healed people heal. Healed people facilitate healing around them. And this planet and many people on it are in desperate need of healing right now. So what is our true nature? What we call the philosophy that we teach here at Centers for Spiritual Living is the science of mind. And in the science of mind, we teach that God, or whatever you want to call it, God is all that there is. And I'm not talking about some big white dude in the sky that's making arbitrary decisions based on whether we stood just right or held our tongue just right when we prayed. Talking about the power and the presence that is the source of all creation. The man who founded what is now Centers for Spiritual Living, his name was Ernest Holmes, he called it the thing itself. We can't be outside of that. It can't be the all of everything and then me. It doesn't even make good sense. So if God is all there is and we're a part of that, doesn't that mean that everything is a part of that? Ms. Andes are here, yes. Practitioner student, yes. The resources that nations fight over, that neighbors fight over because they're limited, doesn't that belief limit God? How can God be everything and have limits? That does not even make good sense. And please don't think I'm saying there are unlimited energy resources or something like that on the planet that we can just all use as much as we want to at will. There's a difference between the limitlessness of God and humans living in harmony with the earth. Now, what limits us? What limits us? Our beliefs. Everybody gets a B. Our beliefs. Our beliefs limit us. So there it is, right? That's a huge part of our healing process. We examine our beliefs. We have to be willing to take this deep dive into our own quagmire and look at what we believe and see clearly how it limits us. How does it put us in fear? How does it put us in that foundation of all conflict? How would we act differently if we acted from a place that believed God is all there is? How would we act differently if we knew with our deepest knowing that the source of all things is where we come from too? What conflict would wither from your life? So in self-examination then, let's go a little bit deeper. In self-examination then, we can come to another powerful tool in our healing. And that place of power is acceptance. And it doesn't seem like it quite goes together, does it? Examine my limiting beliefs and what? Accept them? No. Acceptance isn't surrender to what we may view as bad. Okay, that is not what acceptance is. Acceptance isn't surrender to that which might limit us. Acceptance can be a surrender to what turns out to be a superpower. Okay, personal example. You guys know how I am. So I've been diagnosed with what is called alternately either major or clinical depression. My brain chemistry stinks. So much so that I don't think it's actually a good idea for me to try and be a senior minister anywhere. Now, is that a limiting belief? Yes and no. Well, I'll get to the no. Might it change? Certainly. Although only if I'm aware of the belief, right? Some days are better than others. Medication gives me far more good days than bad. Medication allows me to see clearly enough to know that my brain chemistry sometimes really stinks. And then sometimes I have bad days because of it. It's not me. It's not personal. It's not a character flaw. It's not a failure. It's what is right now. And I accept that. And here's how that acceptance is helping me heal. Not necessarily cure depression, although I will certainly allow for that possibility, but heal. My brain chemistry is part of how I experience this life. My brain chemistry is part of how I experience this life. And everything that I am, including this brain chemistry, is a way that God comes to know itself better. Acceptance is not surrendering to what seems to be bad. I can hate this disorder and do everything in my power to manage it, but I cannot hate myself or my life because of my brain chemistry. I can accept that this is part of how I experience this life. that may not lead to a cured brain. But it does lead to a healed heart, and a healed mind, and a healed soul. Ernest Holmes said, "Back of you, the infinite searches into manifestation through you, as you. What you are, it is you." We don't have to be ashamed of it. You don't have to say, "I despise my personality, I hate this body, I am worm of the dust," and think you are surrendering to God. This is a denial of God. All we have to say is, there is nothing in me but God. People will say, and you will absolutely hear this in this teaching, the science of my teaching, I say it. You will hear people say that God only knows perfect health. God only knows perfect health. And on the surface, that would imply that depression is not God. That it is somehow outside of God, which we've already established doesn't make good sense. And the deeper, uglier implication is that it's somehow my fault. Now that last implication used to be very common in New Thought churches and centers. New Thought being an association of centers and churches that have a similar belief of what we teach here. God is all that there is. We can change our lives for the better through recognizing our thoughts, things of that nature. People wouldn't come to church or their center on a Sunday morning because they had a cold. And they knew somebody would look at them and say, "Well, what is in your consciousness that made you get sick?" We're seeing that a lot right now in the media. Marianne Williamson's run for president. She is a unity minister, and unity is a close cousin to the science of mind. But that is, again, only the most superficial of readings into philosophies like the science of mind. And thankfully you won't hear that in Centers for Spiritual Living anymore. Unless you want to get shown the door, I guess. Reverend Cece will show you the door. Now I can stand up here in front of you and say, God is all there is. And that includes my brain chemistry. Because God never defined perfect. We did that. And disability is nothing more than the majority being unwilling to make space in society for different ways of being in a human body and in a human experience. I'm uncomfortable, so you will be here in a way that makes me comfortable. That's disability. Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old Swedish climate change activist, she has Asperger's, part of the autism family. And she's talked about in the past, before she had some sort of understanding of what it was, what Asperger's was, and that was a part of her. She talked about being in a deep depression, sitting in her darkened room alone, having an eating disorder. And I don't know everything that she did to get to where she is now. Our walk in healing is as individual as anything in our lives. But now she talks about having Asperger's. It's having a superpower. That is a healed heart and a healed mind. That is a healed soul. And look at how powerful she is. Look at the change that she's making. And it began in her own healing. Her own acceptance that Asperger's was a part of how she would experience life. Depression is not fun. But when I'm medicated correctly, I see the power in it for me too. It helps me be a far better pastoral counselor. I see very clearly the stories that the person sitting across from me is telling themselves. Because I quite often tell myself the absolute worst case scenario, no matter how ridiculous it is in the moment. It doesn't seem ridiculous in the moment, does it? Depression teaches me to be in the moment and wait for the next moment, because the next moment's always different. And there may be relief in that moment. Paradoxically, depression has taught me hope, because there may be relief in that next moment. Depression may mean I won't make a good senior minister in charge of all of the overwhelming ins and outs that go into running a center. But I know depression can mean that I'll make an excellent pastoral care minister. And I know it can mean that I'll make an excellent social justice minister. It's that whole hope in the face of everything. Our willingness to allow that every part of us can be divine opens that door to healing. There may come a day when depression can be cured, but I'm not really worried about it. This is one of the ways that I'm experiencing life right now. And it can happen to me, or it can happen through me. That's not a cured brain, but it is a healing heart, and it is a healing mind, and it is a healing soul. Through courageous self-reflection, we can see our own path to healing. Healed people help heal. And part of any healing is acceptance. God is all there is, and we, in our totality, are each a part of it, and it is all of each of us. At sundown this evening, the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah will commence. This is the Jewish New Year. If you have Jewish friends, you can tell them Shana Tova. It's marked, I think for most of us that are outside of the faith, we may know it best by the blowing of the shofar, which is a big ram's horn. It makes a large trumpeting sound. That's done at this time of year. It's a time of rejoicing. It's also a time of deep introspection, self-reflection, and personal change. A mystical part of Judaism is called Kabbalah. Kabbalists teach that the continued existence of the world depends on God's desire for it to exist. And that desire is renewed on Rosh Hashanah. The world continues to exist because God desires it to. God is all there is. We are each a part of it, and it is all of each of us. Do we wish for our world to continue? The answer may seem obvious, but this is the time of year to reflect. It's the time of year to ask, what are we doing to ensure that the world continues? What are we doing to give girls like Greta Thunberg and Autumn Peltier back their childhoods? Come on. What if all these thousands of climate scientists are wrong? What if we're not actually having any effect on the climate whatsoever? What if all we get out of a concerted effort to clean up our planet is clean air and clean water and renewable power sources not connected to terrorist nations? Bummer. But healing is more than that, isn't it? It isn't just recycling and signing petitions and demanding clean energy. Healing is harmony. Remember, Satish Kumar said, we are urged to live in harmony with the natural world and with ourselves, and that making peace with ourselves is a prerequisite for making peace with the earth. Our planet needs us to be in right relationship with ourselves so that we may be in right relationship with it. We must be courageous in our self-reflection. Remember that the source of all things is our source too. And be accepting of the totality of the gift that we each are on this planet, to this planet, and to ourselves and one another. And if you're sitting out there right now thinking, I'm saying we have to do this, I am. Healed people heal, and our planet is almost out of time. And we are needed.